You're listening to Zero Distortion with Russ Bates, where real conversations cut through the noise from business and politics to mindset and relationships. No filters, no fluff. Just truth and perspective that matters. Mic on. Let's go.
Hey, everybody. We have a real treat for you this episode. Our guest today is Lanie Latsios, who appeared on The Bachelor season 28, I believe. That's Joey's season for everybody. She's originally from Philadelphia and now living in Los Angeles. Lanie's here to walk us through what life looked like before the show for her, how the casting process really works, what that first night was like, and what's life been like after stepping off the set. And joining me for this conversation is my amazing, incredible wife, Alisa. She's a big fan of the show and perfect to co-host this one. So ladies, welcome to Zero Distortion. Lanie, how are you doing?
I'm good, Russ. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Alisa, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So Lanie, we want to get started with you and learn a little bit more about your background and what really life looked like before the show. Can you share a little bit about that and what ended up getting you to jump on to The Bachelor?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in a small town outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Grew up in the suburbs, had a twin sister. We always did, performing arts, dance team. We were super involved in like very creative interests. And, growing up, I kind of always knew I had a creative fun side. And I ended up going to college at Temple University. And after college, I ended up getting into luxury real estate, and I did that for about 4 or 5 years on an all-woman team. I loved, my life in Philadelphia. I lived in Rittenhouse Square, super fun area if you're familiar with the city. Lots of young people, lots of things to do, and really I loved my life there, but I knew I wanted to live somewhere warm. I always kind of knew that. And I always kind of knew that I loved cities and maybe wanted to try a little bit bigger city like New York or Miami or LA. Growing up, my dad he grew up in California. And so I always loved LA and had this affinity for it. And I had gone a bunch of times as a kid, but I never really thought about it because it was so far. But, I got selected to be on the show, The Bachelor. And that's kind of how my journey started. And yeah, I was in a relationship up until about, we were dating kind of on and off for 3 years. And when that ended in January, I got a sponsored Instagram ad for The Bachelor. And I thought, you know what, it's a fun show. It's a classy, well-known show. This could be really fun. I'm newly single. Why don't I apply? And I applied, and within an hour, I got a message back saying we want to interview you. And that really started the process, which took about, 6 months up until when we filmed. But yeah, it was a long process, but it was fun. And that's kind of how I got started on that journey.
That's awesome. Now back up, you've got a twin sister. Did I hear that right?
Yes, I do. And it's funny because we always joke we're polar opposites. So she bought a house in Lancaster. She's like the smart, sustainable one. She bought a house in Lancaster. She wants to kind of settle down and have kids. She has she grew out all these gardens in her home. She loves to hunt and fish, and they're, her and her boyfriend are really into that. And I'm the city girl, I love shopping and things like that. So we kind of joke that, we're very different, but ultimately growing up, we are very expressive, and we did grow up kind of doing the same things. And now, she gets to visit when she needs a little girls trip away from everything. And when I kind of am missing like the grass and the trees and like, the homey feeling, I go back to Lancaster and visit her. So it's a fun little like dichotomy.
That's awesome. I mean, we've got twin boys that they're going to be 17 here in a few months, and very similar, but can again be polar opposites. Would that be safe to say?
Yeah, they're different, like night and day. They are best friends and probably worst enemies, depending on the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Russ, but I have been a fan of The Bachelor since the very first episode. So it was 2002. My best friend Trisha, who you know, Russ, used to come over and I would make her dinner and we would watch every episode. And I've been a fan. Lanie, you're right. It's always been a classy show. It taught me so much about, I don't know, how women interact. So what did you find about that? Did you find that women were supportive of each other in the house?
100%.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's interesting because I think like what I admired most about being on the show is literally seeing the amount of beautiful women from all across the country and even like Canada, and just the different like diverse, sizes and styles and like personalities of women. I felt honestly really honored to be selected. And that was kind of the mindset I had going into it, knowing like your chances of finding, of this one person, it might be slim, but you're now getting like inspired and you're being surrounded by all of these amazing like hand-selected women as well. So it definitely felt like an honor. And that was what I had of the mindset going into it. Like, regardless of what happens, this was like an honor to get selected. And it's so fun. And it's something you can kind of like, it's a bucket list item. It's a conversation starter. It's something I can tell my kids one day. It's something that can open doors. So like I said, regardless of what happened, I kind of knew that I was already like had made it, and that I was gonna hopefully have some, which I definitely have. So that's really nice that I can say that. I still talk to a lot of the girls, and a lot of them are super sweet. And I think you learn so much about like different people and different cultures, and like you kind of like learn what might work and what doesn't work, or like things that maybe you don't necessarily lead with, but that you find inspiration from like the other women. So, and it's cool to see that play out like on camera, but also in an application process, and then also in person when you're like meeting everyone and getting to know them. And then also after the fact, like social media and just dealing with like the aftermath and how things all play out. I think like just seeing how people handle things and just like kind of giving them compassion from afar, like regardless of what their journey specifically was, just like sending them love and knowing how hard it is to like be judged by the entire internet and by like a franchise that has like very loyal fans and following. So.
Right. So if I remember correctly, because I did watch that season, that was actually the last season that I watched. And after that, I was a little bit turned off about how things have been going on the show in general. But if I remember correctly, you left on night one, right? What did that mean to you? How did it make you feel? What did you learn from that?
Yeah. So honestly, it was I'll take you back to like the moment. So I remember like the roses were getting passed out, and I had an amazing conversation with him, and a little bit more like stuff off screen that wasn't shared. But I remember like going into the rose ceremony, being like looking around, kind of like based on our conversation, some girls hadn't even had a chance to talk to him, and being like, I think I'm good. Like, I feel confident. There were other girls from Philadelphia that I knew. We had chatted, like, just based on conversations. I was like, I feel confident. I think I'm good. So we go into the rose ceremony. They're calling out the names. It's like a very slow process. And like the names kept getting called, and I just remember like towards the end, it was it was like the last rose. And I was like, okay, like what happens if my name is not called? Like just trying to process it as I was going. And I wish I was a little bit more like poker face. That was my one thing looking back. Like if I ever do something like this again, or just in general, like I think my expression reads from my face. And I wish I was like a little bit more composed and looking like a little bit less nervous. But I remember once that final rose was called, I just remember being like, crap. Like I'm like, this is crazy. This sucks. And I'm like, how did this happen? Like I remember being like, this really sucks. And in the moment, I took one moment to like feel sorry for myself and be like, this is the worst thing in the world. And then I remember the second thing that I thought was like, what is this trying to teach you? Like, I remember I was like, there's something, because before I went on the show, I remember saying to myself, like, God, universe, if this is not meant for me, then like, take me out earlier, like, you know, like just like whatever's meant to be will happen. So if it's not meant for me, like that's okay. And I'm just gonna I'm just gonna accept whatever outcome. So when that happened and I took a minute to like a second to feel sorry for myself and feel like embarrassed or feel humbled, after that I was like, okay, what is this teaching you? And I remember I like just thought to myself of like Kim Kardashian, and I was like, I imagine like how many times Kim Kardashian has been like humbled or felt embarrassed or been like publicly like shamed, or like people just doing all types of things to her. And now she's like Kim Kardashian. Like you develop thick skin after a while, and you kind of like develop this sense of it's not about the outer world. It's about like my inner world and my inner confidence. And thankfully I had gone through I'd been doing therapy since like early college. So I have had like a lot of room to like work on myself and work on confidence. So I was generally in a very good place, like mentally, physically, spiritually. And looking around, I was like, you know what? Like maybe there are some people that like not need this more, but maybe this is really important to them. Whereas right now, like for me, it's like this was a fun experience, and now I can cross it off my bucket list, and I can like go on to the next opportunity in my life. So it took a second to process, and then once it did, I was like, you know what, you're gonna be okay. And so then I remember kind of like leaving the mansion, and you know they're doing like interviews and everything, and I kind of said the same thing and like tried to hold my head high. But it was a long ride back to the hotel. And I just remember thinking like, I do not want to go back to Philadelphia right now. This is going to suck. It's cold. And I don't want to go back. And so just kind of elaborate on, you know, the next part of my journey, I ended up, my best friend from Garnet Valley, which is the town I grew up in, she had moved to LA 6 years ago to pursue acting. So she had lived out here. We're still best friends to this day. And I immediately called her when I got my phone, and I was like, I got sent home. This is crazy. Like, are you in town? Like, I'm Ubering over to you. So I came over to her house, like such a good friend. I feel very blessed to have had this experience, because a lot of girls, you know, just had to go right back home and didn't probably have like the chance to process it. So I go to her house, you know, she has like amazing house with a pool in LA, and we're like sitting there, and she's like, I want you to move to LA, but I know you won't. And I was like, wait a minute, like that's actually a great idea. Like why won't I move to LA? And so as good friends do, she like drove me around LA, seeing all these apartments. And I ended up finding a place in Burbank, which is like a suburb in the valley of LA. And it was the same rent, pretty much the almost exact same rent I was paying in Philadelphia in my like luxury condo building, but it was like a, you know, quaint little like side house in Burbank. And there were so many applications, and I like just begged the guy and like put all my good energy into like getting this place. And there's honestly kind of like no reason I should have gotten it over anyone else, especially because I was like moving and I'd been in real estate and like wasn't really sure what I was going to do as a job or anything. And he just kind of took a chance on me and I got the place. And I remember thinking if I'd stayed on like a minute longer on the show, I would have never gotten this place. And so yeah, I'm thankful for how it all played out. But yeah, it definitely was like a crazy roller coaster of like a few weeks during that time frame.
Yeah, what is you're saying? It happens.
This is happening for me. Yeah, it's not happening to me. It's happening for me. I mean, you could use that for some, the loss of a job, like what you said, being eliminated on day one. It happened for you. So you could be with your friend, find an apartment, find a completely different life path. So it happened for you.
Yeah. Just to elaborate more, because I feel like it is something that at first it's like, do you really want to talk about that? Like saying, you get eliminated night one. But I remember like this influencer, Alex Earl, she talked about how like she didn't get into the sorority she wanted and all her friends did. And she felt so much like shame and embarrassment. And I think as women, it's like, but also in general, but I can't speak for men and how they feel, but I know women like compare themselves a lot. So you're like, was it based on looks? Is it based on personality? Is it based on this and that? But growing up like in, shows and just growing up sort of in this like space and knowing the creative space and studying business and, knowing what I know about like TV and production, I remember just being like, this at the end of the day is a production. It's a show. It's $1 billion franchise. There are certain moving parts in place that I can't control. So what I can control right now is my reaction to this happening. And so, yeah, there was definitely like ups and downs. And then when it aired, I'm like, oh my gosh, now everyone's going to see. Like I went home night one and like, oh my gosh, that sucks. But to be honest, like my confidence, I don't know. I feel like if anything, it just kind of builds your confidence because you're like, well, I can only go up from here. And like, it's, if I rehearse the right thoughts in my head, this is not going to like negatively impact me. It's only going to make me stronger. So I feel very blessed to have that mindset. And I hope every girl, whether they went home night one or whether you're the runner up, like you still feel some sort of shame. Like you're getting literally eliminated from a TV show and you're getting like booted and there's all these like angles about your personality and who you are and what your thoughts are on other girls and if you're insecure, this or that. So I think every girl, no matter when they went home on the show, has felt some sort of insecurity, shame, embarrassment, or like just like just like second guessing themselves. But I always say, if you are walking a room, like you're in a room, it's because you're meant to be there. So just us being in that room, I remember like sitting on the couch with all these girls and I was like, no matter what happens, again, like I feel like I made it. Like I made it here and like I'm, I can like be at peace with whatever happens. So
I love that. It's such a powerful perspective. And I do think that, well, I can't speak to that either, but just having sons. I didn't grow up with any boys either. I just had a sister. I just assumed they had no feelings. But now I know, having sons, that they actually do care and they do get embarrassed and they need to build up their confidence as well. And I think the more that you can stack these experiences where you survive, like I survived that happened to me. I survived, the more confidence grows from that. What do you think, babe? I don't know. You grew up with 3 brothers. How are men different?
Yeah, 3 brothers. Yeah, I think it all comes back to you want to be proud of what you've done, and nobody wants to be embarrassed, right? So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think guys, I don't know how guys deal with it versus girls, but I know really hard on themselves, and it's like, and at some point you kind of realize like this is just society. Like someone's being hard on you, like you don't have to be hard on yourself. Like even if the whole world's being hard on you, like be soft with yourself, be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, like mother yourself, be your own best friend. Like your best friend through a breakup, through something like that, would support you. So wouldn't you want to do the same for yourself? Like at the end of the day, all you have is yourself, regardless of friends, guys, family. Like you literally have to live with yourself every day. So again, I was like, I'm taking this experience and I'm actually like walking away with more confidence, knowing I could get selected, because you're literally getting selected out of thousands of women across the country and, different countries. So I'm like, I got selected and I made it. And I had a great conversation with him. And, I met a lot of amazing women and people running the show. And now I'm living in LA. Like, what more could I ask for,
Absolutely. And well, tell us about how the show has affected your life since you've moved on and are doing different things.
Yeah. Has it helped your career? Has it hurt your career?
Yeah. So I would say overall, because of the classiness of The Bachelor, I know people have different opinions or whatnot, but I think in general, it's like a well-received show. So when I tell people I was on it, people think it's cool. It's like an exciting little fun fact about myself. Gives me a little bit of like street cred almost, because it's like people are like, oh, cool. Like she's a cool girl. Like I feel like one of my values in life is being a cool person. I think that regardless of what job or industry you go into, people want to work with pleasant people. They want to work with people they know are social. So I feel like my social skills and that kind of aspect of my life has definitely helped. In terms of career, I used to be in real estate, and I recently got out of real estate because I decided I wanted to do something a little bit more more true to myself. My family, my family's all in real estate. My twin sister was a realtor as well and got out of the business. My mom is still chugging along. She's amazing. She's like a ninja, but it's not for me. So as I kind of transitioned to LA, I decided that I wanted to do something more in like the wellness space or something with women. And so I feel like now, especially with creators, like saying I was on The Bachelor, it definitely opens the door a little bit more, and at least maybe gets people to open an email or gets people to click a link and just like consider what you have to say a little bit more. But I think at the end of the day, the confidence that I got from the show is kind of helping me like push along in my career and really figure out what I want. And I know you talked about this, Russ, or maybe you did, Alisa, but aligning with like what you want to do in your work and your life, like work-life balance. It's more about alignment versus balance. And I feel like right now I'm really trying to align with causes I care about. And how can I, monetize that and work with people that I love and have a cause that I love, which I know everyone wants to do. Like that's the goal in life. But I'm glad to have kind of figured that out earlier rather than later, and saving myself, bad jobs or, unfulfillment. So, I think I would say, to answer your question, wrap it up, I would say I definitely feel like it's helped me figure out who I am and also get my foot into the door for different opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's so important, being able to do the work that you love and get paid for it, right? That alignment you're speaking of, I think that's very important. Alisa can speak that I must really love what I do because I'm doing it all the time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we were on vacation in Mexico 2 weeks ago, and I have a very demanding job. I'm a corporate attorney. I work in-house, and plus we have 3 kids. So my head is always, as a woman, I'm not only working, but I'm also kind of trying to anticipate the needs of the house and the family. So I'm always on. So when we're on vacation, I want to unplug. I don't want to think about work. I don't want to think about anything. It has to be, I don't even want to think about what I'm eating. It has to be like all inclusive because I don't want to make a single decision except, what I'm wearing that day. That's it. Whereas, Russ would be working on the terrace or, taking a couple of hours after breakfast while I sat at the pool. And that's his thing. He's so aligned with what his career and what he's doing, and his interests that are attached to his career, which is, this podcast, that it never bothers him and he loves it. So I've had to kind of realize people are different. I want to tune out and he needs to stay aligned or connected with what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I also want to note that I feel like, everyone has a different ratio of how much they want to work and how much they don't want to work. I feel like there's all this pressure on women to either want to work so hard or not work at all. Like, people criticize women that don't want to work and want to focus on the family. And to me, it's like, well, that's okay. And then people criticize women that want to just be workaholics and not have a family. And it's like, whatever floats your boat. I'm sort of like in the middle too. I think a career, or just like something to like fill time with something I like that gets my brain going, is going to be like critical. But I also love my downtime. Do not get me wrong. I love my downtime. Love traveling, love where my only priority is my outfit and laying by the pool. So I think it's really good to know your balance and know what is going to like keep you happy and keep you kind of in sync with your body, yourself, and your like family and friends around you. So
yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think especially, I love the way you're talking, because, we had asked in the pre-meeting whether you're millennial or Gen Z, and you said you're on the cusp. And I feel that what I'm seeing from Gen Zs, we also have a daughter, she's 20. What I'm seeing from the Gen Zs is that they are much more supportive of what, their friends, what their family, what the other person in their life is doing, versus judgmental. And I love that. Because my generation, and I think millennials, spent so much time judging ourselves, judging each other. Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom and you're not, so you're doing it wrong, just like you were saying. I hope that this kind of attitude of acceptance and just letting us do our thing, I hope that this lasts.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious on your opinion from watching The Bachelor since day one, because I almost feel like The Bachelor has had like an evolution over the years, and I'm sure it's kind of come and gone in waves where they've probably been way more critical on some people than they should have, or like, just over in general, like the public being critical on women. But hopefully you've seen that evolve in a positive way over time.
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, it just, something as silly as, which you keep using the word classy with respect to The Bachelor, and I completely agree, because they don't show too much. But I remember even 5 years ago, Russ, the cheeky bathing suits that are in style. Even 5 years ago, they would put a black box over a woman's bottom if she was wearing like a cheeky bikini on the show, which I think draws attention to their body more than just showing whatever she's wearing. Whereas now they don't bother with that. So I think there's even in the clothing choices, there's less judgment about what they're wearing on the show. It's more about, what are they saying? How do they act? Which I love. It's less focused on, I guess, the outside. Even of course, the girls are beautiful. But more on substance. And I think that that's really changed over the years. And also less judgment on the fantasy suites, and whether, a bachelorette has taken 3 guys or 4 guys to a fantasy suite, or 1 or none. I feel like there's way less judgment since, I think it was Hannah, probably, since Hannah season, way less judgment about it. And I love that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like, evolved over the years. And even my mom, like, she never watched the show, and she had some like really crazy assumptions about like maybe her one knowledge on the fantasy suite. And she didn't even realize that was like basically towards the end, and only with, like a certain amount of women, and obviously like consensual. Like, she didn't understand really how it worked. And I know, reality TV sometimes gets a bad rap because there are kind of more like raw, unfiltered reality shows that, that might happen, or there might be more to the imagination. But I feel like with The Bachelor, it's kind of like what you see is what you get. And so, yeah, I felt pretty comfortable going into it. And I felt, pretty comfortable leaving, that it's just like, I I didn't say anything that I felt like I wouldn't want my mom to hear. And that was kind of my thing, and my like non-negotiable for me is I just wanted to make sure that I stayed true to myself. And I think for the most part I did. And so yeah.
Yeah, from a guy's perspective, I have not watched a lot of The Bachelor. I've seen a little bit here and there when Elisa's watched it, and it seems very classy to me. Classy is the right word. It's something that, the kids when they were younger, right? They could come in and it wasn't like, oh, we got to shut this off. I feel it was very well done, and seems like it continues to get better from the little bits I've seen over the years. So,
girls that are like ready for a relationship, or they do have a lot of things in their life that are already like the boxes are checked. Like they have a good career, good family life, good friend life. They have, like I said, the self-confidence. That's definitely huge. I feel like if you go on the show, it's like, you have to be confident in yourself, and you're just kind of looking for the next step. So even, now it's like I feel really confident in myself, and I'm not like actively looking for a relationship, but I'm also open to one. So I feel like it's, kind of part of the show is that the girls on there are looking for something serious. So they kind of have a little bit more of a serious, air to them versus maybe other TV shows. So
Yeah. And same with the guys, I would say. On The Bachelorette, the guys that are on there seem to be more serious as well.
yeah. Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more about what Lanie's doing specifically. So what is your job now? What's your career?
So I actually started a company called ABC Bookkeeping. And basically what we're doing is we're offering financial services, bookkeeping, and budgeting for female creators and solopreneurs. So I'm sure, as you know, out of a lot of these shows, a lot of these women get brand opportunities, or they start getting investment opportunities, not just from The Bachelor or reality TVs, but just creators in general, influencers, just anyone that has like a brand, a personality as a brand, they can start to make money off that. But, when you're spending money on travel, and you're spending money on clothing and makeup and equipment, and, no one ever really taught you how to manage your expenses, it's really easy to kind of fall trap to like very common, like pitfalls in our current economy with inflation and just prices, and just the instant gratification of buying I bought a coffee for me and my friend today, and it was like $12 and like $13 with tip. It's like we are getting bombarded all the time by these expenses. And it was actually, shout out to my twin sister Natalia, who really sat me down at the beginning of this year when she visited, and she was like, you need to learn how to budget your life, and you need to learn how to put yourself on a little bit more of a strict schedule. And it really got me thinking how women don't have a ton of empowerment surrounding their own finances. And obviously this is a deeper conversation, but a lot of times in the past, women may have fully relied on men, and now, and I'm in full belief of male providers. I think, men, it's great to have that sort of relationship, but also it's good to have your own finances, and to be in control, and have that, have that kind of ability or that those resources if you need it. So it's something I've developed as a passion. I started last year this company I incorporated in California, and now I'm starting to work with female solopreneurs and influencers and creators to really take control of their finances, figure out how their spending habits might be related to their personality or their upbringing, and how to kind of switch that from a mindset of uncertainty and kind of avoidance of just pretty much avoiding their finances in general, to really taking control of not only like their current finances, but also their retirement, and also like any business investments that they could be doing.
I think that's so important. I think of like pro athletes. You used to hear that a lot. I'm sure it still happens, to this day. They have all this
100%.
money and they don't know how to manage it. And I think what you're doing is fantastic. I would say don't limit it to girls, because us guys need that help too. And sometimes it's just a matter of someone to do that work for them, right? Because they're busy doing things and maybe they don't know what they can deduct on their taxes and stuff. There's a lot of ins and outs that I think are so important. Can make or break, a career, a budget, all of those types of things. So I think that's fantastic. I love that, Lanie.
Yeah, so impressive.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll just say too, one of my like personal passions, this is more of something that I think once I have a little bit more credibility and establishment, something that I really want to promote is like the wellness industry and the like beauty industry as a whole. I think that there's a lot of toxic products and ingredients that go into our makeup and our hair products and even our clothing. And I think so in California, we have signs everywhere, like in the grocery store, and it says like, warning, consuming this product can expose you to chemicals that cause reproductive harm. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, it's on every product, it's everywhere, and it really got me like down a rabbit hole of basically like looking into these ingredients. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the app called Yuka, Yuka. It started in France. And basically it scans the barcode of any beauty product or food ingredient and tells you like the scientific evidence of what it says about certain ingredients. And to go down this rabbit hole, it's very humbling, because you just realize like how just like blinded you are sometimes to consumerism, which I am 100% like I'm a culprit of that. So I think becoming a little bit more like aware of my own consumerism and my own consumption, and kind of hoping to empower others and encouraging others to do the same, of like, what do we buy? Why do we buy it? And what are we even buying? Specifically in the wellness and like health and nutrition space, but also just as a whole.
I love that. Because I use all the hair care products, right? So I know what you're saying.
The health.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, I think. Yuka. Okay. I got it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you have stunning hair and you just look stunning. Whatever you're using is healthy, but we can connect on that later.
Thank you.
This has been fantastic, Lanie. I am very impressed. I think, like I said, the Bachelor experience sounds like a very positive one for you overall, with friends you've made, with making the move out west, and everything you're doing now. I think that definitely happened for you. So, babe, what else you think?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I'm really impressed too, and I think you're just confident, obviously, and so well spoken. And I think you're just going to go so much farther. And you've already come such a long way. And I just think you're going to get everything that you want. Manifest it all, girl. I can feel it. It's coming.
Thank you. And I love that. And I really appreciate you guys having me on and getting the chance to connect. And I know, Russ, like you seem super open-minded to even what you were saying, your college daughter, talking about like TikTok and just the different ways like you can empower people, talking about tariffs to TikToks. That could be a cool like podcast episode. Yeah. Podcast name, Tariffs and TikToks, but really it all matters in the grand scheme of things. So it's really important to get perspectives and not judge, like, someone might be like, oh, that person's been on reality TV. Like, I wonder what kind of person they are. Like, it's really important to get different perspectives and realize like we're all just people trying to go through this world. And, we all have feelings about ourselves and about others, and just creating like a dialogue about it, dialogue and like learning more and growing together. So I really appreciated you guys, this conversation, and you guys are both great. So thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Well,
love that.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for joining us, Lanie. And we're going to have to get you on again because we could have gone for hours here, I think.
Yeah, I could talk
very
forever
good.
about different little topics, travel and
Yeah.
the business mindset that you have. I mean, I think we do have a lot of topics that we can cover next time.
Yeah, for sure. Some other Bachelor guests in the queue as well, if you want.
Let's do that. Well, again, thanks so much, Lanie. We'll be looking forward to seeing what you do and talking with you again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys.
Bye,
Have a-
Lanie.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Zero Distortion. If you liked this episode, follow the pod, leave a rating, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. You'll find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Stay curious, stay open, and until next time, keep cutting through the noise.